What's up, guys? Channel Sports Center going to be going over my 2019 Week 5 rankings for the college football season. And we've already made it to Week 5, and as we usually do on Sundays, we'll be going over rankings. These are my rankings, by the way. These are not the AP poll for this week. These are my personal opinions, my personal rankings. So, just so you guys know that before we get into this. We're going to start off with 1 through 7 and work our way down. And 1 through 6 stay completely the same going into this week. There were a few little changes in the AP poll. I think, actually, the only change in the AP poll for Week 5 was Ohio State and Oklahoma. Ohio State, I do know, got bumped up to number 5. I've had Ohio State in front of Oklahoma this entire season. I've always thought Ohio State's a little bit better than Oklahoma. The AP poll has just now switched that. So, Clemson's number 1. They beat Charlotte 52-10. I mean, it's obvious they're the number 1 team in the nation right now. Alabama not far behind. They beat Southern Miss. Georgia had a great win against Notre Dame. I considered moving them up to number 2. But I'm going to keep them at number 3 right now. I still think Clemson and Alabama are both better than Georgia right now. Number 4 is LSU. They played Vanderbilt on the road, got a great win there, 66-38. The defense didn't look very good in that one, with allowing 38 points, but 66 on offense. That overall is still very good. Ohio State's number 5. They played Miami, Ohio, beat them 76-5. So they had no problem with them there. Oklahoma had a bye week. Auburn played Texas A&M on the road 28-20. They won it, 20-20. That is a great win there. They are moving up one going into this week, and that bumped Florida down a couple, and now Florida's number 9. Wisconsin really surprised me this week. They played very well against Michigan, and I actually predicted Wisconsin to win that one, but the thing is though, I expected it to be a lot closer than it was. 35-14 was your final score. It could have easily been 42-0, but Wisconsin kind of started to push on the brakes a little bit going into the rest of the game. 35-14, still an excellent win for that Wisconsin team. And over so far this season with their 3 wins, Wisconsin has been very, very impressive. In their 3 games this season, they've only allowed 14 points. And so with that being said, this is a team that is very, very dangerous right now. Florida's number 9. They beat Tennessee at home 34-3. They moved down 2 in these rankings. Nothing against the talent or anything there, or against their win. But the thing is, I just thought Wisconsin and Auburn, if they played Florida, I think both of those teams would beat them. But number 10 is Texas. They played Oklahoma State, beat them 36-30. A little bit of a close game there, but Oklahoma State played well. They move up 2 this week. Notre Dame moves down 1 against Georgia. They lost to 17-23. And now I'm not a very big believer in Notre Dame. I really haven't been as big of a fan of them all season long. I thought they have been a little bit overrated, but really, that was a really close loss against Georgia, and Notre Dame looked very good still in that game. That was a good loss, I think. No losses are good, but it wasn't just an ugly loss, is what I'm saying. Notre Dame's only moving down 1 for me in these rankings, even though that really does hurt their playoff chances going into the rest of the season. Penn State's number 12. They had a bye week. Oregon's 13. Played Stanford on the road, won at 21-6. Good win there. They move up 3. Iowa moves up 4 on the bye. And also, I forgot to say, Penn State, they do move up 2 after the bye as well. So a lot of these teams are moving up quite a bit, especially with all the upsets that we had this week. We had a lot of upsets going on this week. Number 15 now. They play BYU on the road. Very impressive win, 45-19. I thought that could honestly have been an upset. Like, I was predicting a couple upsets I predicted. I think USC and Utah was one. I did think Wisconsin was going to win. Then I also picked BYU over Washington. That one wasn't right. Not by a mile, because Washington beat them up there 45-19. They move up 5 in these rankings. And in the AP poll, they've got California at 15. And I was really surprised by that. I didn't even have California in my rankings last week. The thing is about California, they beat Washington. But the thing is, though, is that California's been really close against some teams that they should not have. I think they played UC Davis. That was a close game. North Texas was a close game. Ole Miss was a close game. California has not yet impressed me. Of course, Washington, that's a good win. That is a good win. But the thing is, though, for California, you got to consider the other games that they've played have been really close, and they should have beaten them up much more than what they did. So yeah, I'm keeping California 5 below than what the AP poll is saying. I'm giving them at 20 right now. But yeah, then I think Boise State's right behind them at 16. I've got Boise State at 21. I'm still not a very big believer of Boise State as well. Those two teams I think are a little bit overrated. But yeah, Utah, I'm not dropping Utah as much as the AP poll is. I'm keeping them at 16. I've still got a lot of faith in Utah. I mean, after week 3 or week 4, I was like, man, it was week 3, but yeah, I was like, man, Utah is a real team. I thought that they were real, not that they're going to steamroll through the season. And I was kind of thinking last week especially that could be the team to represent the Pac-12 in the college football playoff this year. But man, that was a very tough loss against USC on Friday night. They lost 30-23. They go down 7 in this week's rankings. I also bumped Michigan down only 6. I could have bumped them out much, much more. But the thing is, though, if you look at the teams behind them, would Michigan beat USC? Would Michigan beat Virginia, California, Boise State? I believe that they would, so that's why I've got them at 17. The AP poll doesn't really show that all that well. I mean, when you've got Boise State and California in front of Utah and Michigan, you got a little bit of a problem there, in my opinion. USC is 18. They played Utah, of course, at home. Yeah, we just talked about that. They won that one. They enter the rankings at 18, so they really went up high there. But yeah, I think USC still, once again, is a better team than Virginia, California, Boise State, etc. Virginia really didn't impress me this week. They played Old Dominion at home. They were drilling there for a little bit, but yeah, 28-17 is what they got the win in the end. They go up to this week. They're 4-0. California is number 20. Once again, I've already talked about them. Good win against Ole Miss. A little bit of a interesting ending there, but yeah, they enter this week's rankings at 20, so they go up 5. Boise State's number 21 for me. They played Air Force at home, 30-19. They got the win. Still not very impressed with that team, but I'm going to move them up 1 to number 21. Now looking at your final 4 of these rankings, you got K-State, Texas A&M, Michigan State, and UCF. Now K-State had a bye this week, but they still move up 1. They're 3-0. I had them at number 23 last week. I think K-State's kind of an underrated team this season. I think they can do some great things. In the offseason, I was kind of looking at this team. That is a very veteran team. I mean, they've got a lot of experience there on that team, even though they're not, the best team in the world. But yeah, they are a veteran team, so you got to watch out for that. Texas A&M is now 2-2 on the season. They've lost now 2 games, once against Clemson and then against Auburn. Texas A&M has an absolutely brutal schedule, but they are somehow still in the rankings at 23rd. They're just surviving right now. Another loss, and Texas A&M is booted out of the rankings for the first time in quite a while. Yet they played Auburn, and once again they lost it 28-20. They moved down 6 in this week's rankings. Michigan State re-enters the rankings at 24. They played at Northwestern, won it 31-10. Very impressive win there, and that's why they're back in the rankings here this week at 24. They lost to Arizona State. That's what booted them out after week. What was it? I think it's after week 3. And so yeah, that was a really bad loss, especially with Arizona State losing again this week. But yeah, Michigan State, I'm putting them back in. I mean, a win against Northwestern, even though Northwestern isn't very good this year, 31-10, still a very impressive win there. 3-1 is what Michigan State's record is. UCF moves down 10 ranks after the loss against Pitt on the road. Not very impressive for UCF there. I mean, they kind of came back, but the thing is that you should not let Pittsburgh drop 21 on you to start off the game. You cannot do that if you're going to be a team that's going to contend with the rest of the teams in the country. And so with that being said, I mean, I go very strict with Group of 5 conference teams in my rankings, like Boise State. That's why I'm not really high on Boise State. I mean, they're a Group of 5 conference team. They have not played really anyone that good. But UCF, that's another kind of team. I mean, they've played some decent opponents. But the thing is, though, is that when you go on the road at Pitt and you lose, you cannot do that. That's why I dropped them 10 ranks here. I rarely drop any team like 6 or 7. So that was quite a jump to do 10 on UCF. But, I mean, when you lose against Pitt on the road as a Group of 5 conference team that is expected to be like a high-caliber team, you can't do that. But yeah, they're 3-1, first 5 out this week. Wake Forest, really impressed with that team. Right now, they are the first one out. If they win this week, very possible that they get put in next week's rankings. Memphis is 27. They've been hanging around there for a while. Oklahoma State 28 after an impressive loss against Texas. Army's 29, and then Iowa State's 30. They had an impressive performance against Louisiana Monroe last week, so that's why they're at 30. Dropped out of the rankings this week, Washington State, TCU, and Arizona State. Washington State was 19, TCU was 24, and Arizona State was 25. Yeah, so let me know your guys' thoughts though on these rankings in the comments below. If you think anything's wrong here, if you think a team should be higher, should be lower, let me know in the comments below. I'll try to get back to as many of you guys' comments as possible. They're all very appreciated. Your support is very appreciated as well. Subscribe if you'd like to. It helps out the channel a ton, and I appreciate all you guys that do that. But yeah, stay tuned for some more Week 5 content for college football. We'll be going over some Week 4 NFL analysis as well this week. We didn't get to do a whole lot last week. I was just very busy with sports and school and stuff. So yeah, we'll get right back to it this week. So yeah, thank you guys all for watching once again, and stay tuned for more from All Sports Central.